Step back in time and rediscover the lost dinners that once filled American tables in the 1970s. From gelatin-encased meals to cheese-laden casseroles, these nostalgic dishes have nearly vanished. Let's dig in. Nothing screamed weeknight comfort like tuna noodle casserole. This creamy, cheesy dish blended canned tuna, egg noodles, mushroom soup, and a crunchy topping of crushed potato chips or breadcrumbs. A budget-friendly lifesaver, it gained popularity post-World War II and became a staple in the 1970s as canned foods and convenience meals dominated kitchens. Almost every family had its own spin, making it an easy, affordable, and filling meal parents could whip up in minutes. It also carried nostalgic charm, often appearing in school cafeterias and church potlucks. However, as fresh ingredients became more accessible, people moved away from processed meals. Tuna's strong smell and the casserole's thick texture made it an acquired taste, leading many to opt for lighter, fresher alternatives. Still, for those who grew up with it, tuna noodle casserole remains a comforting reminder of simpler times. Warm, familiar, and deeply nostalgic. Though no longer as common, it still finds its way onto dinner tables. Before meal kits, there was Hamburger Helper, a quick one-pan dinner that transformed a pound of ground beef into a full meal with its pasta, sauce mix, and seasonings. Introduced in 1971 by Betty Crocker, it was marketed as a way to stretch meat during rising grocery prices. With food costs climbing, families needed affordable, filling meals, and Hamburger Helper became an instant hit. It was inexpensive, easy to prepare, and came in multiple flavors, making it a go-to meal for exhausted parents and college students alike. Its convenience and affordability made it a staple in many households, especially during the 1970s and 80s. The variety of flavors from classic cheeseburger macaroni to Stroganoff kept it interesting. However, as people grew more health-conscious, the sodium-heavy, processed nature of Hamburger Helper lost its appeal. Home cooks started preferring fresh ingredients over boxed meals. While it may not be as common today, it still holds a nostalgic place in American food history. Yes, Jell-O was once a dinner ingredient. Meat, seafood, and vegetables were suspended in gelatin, forming colorful, molded creations that graced many 1970s dinner tables. Aspic dates back centuries, but in the 70s, it was all about convenience. Cookbooks raved about gelatin's ability to hold everything from shrimp to olives together in a single mold. It was considered elegant and often appeared at dinner parties, potlucks, and holiday gatherings. Some recipes even included mayonnaise or sour cream for extra creaminess. Aspic's popularity stemmed from its ability to preserve food while offering an eye-catching presentation. Recipes featured ingredients like ham, hard-boiled eggs, and even canned tuna, encased in shimmering, savory gelatin. Despite its appeal in mid-century cuisine, the rise of fresh ingredients and changing food trends led to its decline. Younger generations found the texture unappealing, and its unusual combination of flavors made it a tough sell. Today, aspic is more of a nostalgic relic than a dinner table staple. Aspic wasn't the only dish turning heads. Glazed ham with pineapple rings brought its own retro flair. The ultimate 1970s centerpiece was a glistening baked ham, covered in a brown sugar glaze and adorned with bright yellow pineapple rings, often secured with maraschino cherries. This retro classic had been around for decades but thrived in the 70s due to the popularity of canned pineapple and the love of sweet-savory combinations. The contrast of salty ham with caramelized fruit made it a favorite for Christmas, Easter, and other special occasions. Beyond its flavor, the dish was a visual showstopper. The neatly arranged pineapples and cherries created a picture-perfect holiday spread. It felt festive and elegant, yet was incredibly simple to prepare, requiring little more than baking and basting. However, as food trends shifted, people gravitated toward fresher, less sugary preparations for meats. The rise of new holiday traditions and changing palates led to its decline. While no longer a staple at every holiday table, glazed ham with pineapple rings remains a nostalgic favorite for many. If you were a kid in the 70s, you probably encountered this creamy, cheesy casserole at dinner or family gatherings. It combined broccoli, condensed soup, cheddar cheese, and a crispy topping, often made with breadcrumbs or crushed crackers. With processed cheese and canned soups at their peak, This dish became a household favorite, especially as a clever way to get kids to eat their vegetables without complaints. The rich, gooey texture and comforting flavor made it a go-to side dish for holiday meals and potlucks. Often baked in a Pyrex dish and served by the scoopful, it was easy to make and widely loved. However, as people moved away from processed foods, its reliance on canned soup and artificial cheese made it less appealing. Fresh vegetable preparations gained popularity, and lighter, from-scratch versions of the dish emerged. Still, for those who grew up with it, broccoli and cheese casserole remains a nostalgic, comforting classic. Did you ever have this casserole growing up? Let us know in the comments. Hot dogs weren't just for grilling in the 1970s, they found their way into casseroles too. This dish combined sliced Frankfurters with potatoes, cheese, and a creamy sauce, all baked into a bubbling delight. As convenience foods rose in popularity, it became a way to stretch a pack of hot dogs into a full meal. Some variations even included baked beans or sauerkraut, adding extra heartiness and flavor. It was cheap, easy to make, and a favorite among kids, offering a warm, filling dinner with ingredients many families already had in their pantry. The combination of creamy, cheesy goodness with salty, smoky hot dogs made it a comforting meal. However, as eating habits changed, hot dogs became more of a cookout food than a dinner staple. The casserole's heavy processed nature also lost favor over time. While it's rarely seen on dinner tables today, for those who grew up with it, Frankfurter casserole remains a nostalgic bite of the past. Frankfurter casserole made hot dogs a dinner staple, but shepherd's pie took comfort food in a heartier direction. This dish was a household favorite in the 1970s, layering seasoned ground beef, creamed corn, and fluffy mashed potatoes for a satisfying and budget-friendly meal. While the traditional British and Irish versions used lamb, in the US, ground beef was more common. By the 1970s, canned vegetables and instant potatoes made it even easier to prepare, turning it into a quick, no-fuss dinner option. It was a hearty one-dish meal that could be made in large batches, making it perfect for weeknight dinners and potlucks. The creamy mashed potatoes, savory beef, and sweet corn created a comforting, well-balanced bite that appealed to all ages. However, as fresh ingredients became preferred over canned and instant foods, many home cooks moved toward more modern takes on the dish. Today, versions with fresh vegetables, real mashed potatoes, and different seasonings have replaced the old-school classic, but its nostalgic charm still lingers in many kitchens. This dish was a weeknight staple, served with brown gravy over mashed potatoes or rice. Essentially, a hamburger patty masquerading as steak, it was smothered in a rich, savory sauce. Named after Dr. J.H. Salisbury in the 1800s, the dish gained widespread fame through frozen TV dinners in the 1970s. The convenience of popping it in the oven made it a household favorite, especially for busy families. Salisbury steak provided the illusion of a fancy steak dinner without the cost, making it an affordable comfort food. The combination of seasoned ground beef and flavorful gravy created a satisfying, hearty meal. However, as tastes evolved, people began favoring real steak over processed meat patties. The rise of better quality frozen meals and fresh, homemade alternatives also made it less appealing. While it may not be as popular today, Salisbury steak still holds a nostalgic place in American comfort food history. Instead of rolling up enchiladas, this dish layered tortillas, beef, cheese, and sauce into a hearty, baked casserole. A staple for busy moms, it was an easy way to feed a crowd without the extra effort of assembling individual enchiladas. As Mexican-inspired dishes gained popularity in the U.S., home cooks embraced this simplified version, often relying on canned enchilada sauce to speed up the process. It was easy, cheesy, and packed with flavor, making it a fun alternative to standard casseroles. Families loved its comforting, melty texture and bold spices, and it became a go-to for weeknight dinners and potlucks. However, as fresh ingredients and authentic Mexican food became more accessible, people moved away from the canned sauce-heavy casseroles. While modern versions now incorporate homemade sauces and fresh toppings, the original enchilada casserole remains a nostalgic dish that many still enjoy for its simplicity and comforting taste. Enchilada casserole wasn't the only dish embracing convenience. Spam and pineapple bake brought its own sweet and savory twist to the table. Spam was a common ingredient in the 70s, and one popular way to serve it was baked with pineapple rings. and a brown sugar glaze, similar to the classic ham dish. Though Spam had been around since World War II, it gained popularity in the 1970s as an affordable, shelf-stable meat alternative, leading to creative recipes like this one. The combination of salty Spam, sweet caramelized pineapple, and sticky glaze made it a unique dinner option. It was budget-friendly, easy to prepare, and had a sweet, savory appeal that made it stand out at dinner tables. Many families enjoyed it as a quick weeknight meal, often served with rice or potatoes. However, as fresh meats became more accessible and processed meats fell out of favor, Spam lost its place as a household dinner staple. Still, Spam has had a bit of a resurgence in Hawaiian and Asian cuisine. Would you ever try this retro dish? A creamy, comforting dish featuring diced chicken, mushrooms, peas, and pimientos in a rich, buttery sauce, chicken a la king was usually served over toast, rice, or noodles. Though it dates back to the early 1900s, it became a household staple in the 1970s, thanks to its use of canned ingredients and easy preparation. Families embraced it as an elegant yet simple way to repurpose leftover chicken, while its creamy sauce made it a comforting favorite. The dish was both practical and indulgent, offering a restaurant-style meal that could be made at home with minimal effort. However, as lighter, fresher meals gained popularity, the heavy, cream-based sauce fell out of favor. Additionally, processed versions in frozen meals and canned soups gave it a bad reputation. While no longer as common, a homemade version with fresh ingredients might still win over modern food lovers looking for a nostalgic, comforting meal. A warm, hearty meal filled with chicken, peas, carrots, and a creamy sauce, all tucked inside a flaky pie crust, chicken pot pie was a go-to comfort dish in the 1970s. Though it had been around for centuries, frozen versions gained popularity in the 70s, making it an easy dinner choice for busy families. The combination of crispy golden crust and rich savory filling made it the ultimate cold-weather comfort food, perfect for cozy family dinners. Its convenience and satisfying taste made it a staple in many households, whether homemade or store-bought. However, as people moved away from frozen pre-made meals, the labor-intensive homemade version also fell out of regular rotation. Health-conscious diners found it too heavy, leading to lighter, deconstructed versions or alternative recipes. While it may not be as common on dinner tables today, chicken pot pie remains a nostalgic favorite for those craving a hearty, old-fashioned comfort meal. Chicken pot pie delivered classic comfort, but cheeseburger pie gave it a fun, all-American twist. A cross between a burger and a quiche, this dish combined ground beef, eggs, cheese, and biscuit mix, baked into a hearty, cheesy pie. It gained popularity in the 1970s with the rise of biscuit recipes, making it a convenient and foolproof meal for busy households. The pie-like structure offered a fun twist on classic burger flavors, transforming simple ingredients into a satisfying all-in-one dish. Cheeseburger pie was an easy, affordable way to feed a family, and its cheesy, beefy goodness made it a hit with kids. The combination of a golden crust, savory filling, and gooey melted cheese made it a comforting dinner option. However, as food trends shifted, people gravitated toward actual burgers or fresher, healthier meals over heavy processed bakes. While it may not be as common today, cheeseburger pie still holds a nostalgic charm for those who grew up enjoying its warm, cheesy goodness. A cheesy, baked pasta dish that combined ziti noodles, marinara sauce, ground beef, and layers of gooey melted cheese, baked ziti became a staple of family dinners in the 1970s. As Italian-American cuisine surged in popularity, this dish offered a simpler, more accessible alternative to lasagna, delivering the same comforting flavors with less effort. It was a crowd-pleasing meal that could be prepped ahead of time and baked when needed, making it perfect for busy households. The combination of tender pasta, rich sauce, and bubbly cheese created a dish that was both satisfying and easy to make in large batches for family gatherings or potlucks. While still beloved in many areas, baked ziti has been somewhat overshadowed by fresher pasta dishes, featuring homemade sauces and more authentic Italian ingredients. However, for those who grew up with it, this baked classic remains a nostalgic favorite. Meatballs coated in a tangy sweet sauce made from a mix of ketchup, vinegar, and brown sugar, sweet and sour meatballs were a 1970s favorite. Inspired by Chinese-American cuisine, This dish frequently appeared at dinner tables and buffet-style gatherings. The bold combination of flavors was exciting and different, and its ease of preparation made it perfect for family dinners, parties, and potlucks. The balance of sweetness and acidity, paired with tender, juicy meatballs, made this dish a hit, whether served over rice or skewered as an appetizer. However, as authentic Asian cuisine became more widely available, this Americanized version fell out of favor. Many also found the sauce too sugary for modern tastes, preferring fresher, more balanced flavors. Still, a gourmet, from-scratch version with natural ingredients and refined flavors could bring this nostalgic dish back to life. Could an updated take on sweet and sour meatballs make a comeback at your dinner table? Sweet and sour meatballs brought bold flavors to the table, but shrimp cocktail added a touch of retro elegance. A 1970s dinner party wasn't complete without shrimp cocktail. Plump shrimp arranged around a glass, often served with a tangy Thousand Island or classic cocktail sauce. Though shrimp cocktail dates back to the early 1900s, it became a sign of sophistication in the 70s, making frequent appearances at home gatherings and restaurants alike. Many households used frozen or canned shrimp to recreate this fancy appetizer without the high cost of fresh seafood. The combination of chilled shrimp and sweet, tangy sauce made it a popular starter, giving the illusion of fine dining with minimal effort. However, as fresh seafood became more accessible and food trends shifted toward lighter, more natural flavors, people moved away from processed shrimp dishes. Thousand Island dressing, once a staple of salads and seafood, also lost its appeal over time. While shrimp cocktail still holds nostalgic charm, modern versions often favor fresh ingredients and zesty, less creamy dipping sauces. A decadent dish featuring chicken breast stuffed with ham and Swiss cheese, then breaded and either fried or baked to golden perfection, chicken cordon bleu became a staple of American home cooking in the 1970s. Though it originated in Switzerland, it gained widespread popularity as home cooks embraced European-inspired dishes. The crispy exterior, gooey melted cheese, and savory ham made it feel like a restaurant-quality meal, perfect for both family dinners and special occasions. Its appeal extended beyond homemade versions, as frozen chicken cordon bleu became a common supermarket offering. The convenience of ready-to-bake options made it an easy choice for busy households looking for an elegant meal with minimal effort. However, as food trends shifted toward lighter, less fried meals, this heavy, breaded dish began to fall out of favor. Additionally, the frozen versions gave it a bad reputation for being overly processed. While it may not be as popular today, chicken cordon bleu remains a nostalgic classic for many. A simple yet flavorful dish featuring pan-seared pork chops topped with baked apples, brown sugar, and cinnamon, this sweet savory classic was a staple of 1970s home cooking. While pork and apples had been paired together for centuries, the 70s embraced extra sweet glazes and heavy seasoning, making the dish even richer and more indulgent. It was a comforting, home-cooked meal that felt fancy without being complicated, offering a balance of tenderness, warmth, and nostalgia. The mix of fruit and meat was considered sophisticated at the time, often served at family dinners and gatherings. The natural sweetness of apples complemented the savory, juicy pork, creating a dish that appealed to both adults and kids. However, as food trends shifted toward bolder, more global flavors, this mild dish gradually fell out of favor. Many also found the sweetness overwhelming, leading home cooks to explore more balanced or savory pork recipes. Despite its decline, it remains a nostalgic favorite for those who grew up with it. Pork chops with apples offered a homey, sweet, savory touch, but beef stroganoff turned up the flavor with its rich, creamy sauce. A creamy, savory dish made with strips of beef, mushrooms, onions, and sour cream, beef stroganoff was a 1970s household favorite. Though it originated in Russia, it became a staple in American kitchens thanks to its rich, comforting flavors and easy preparation. The tender beef, combined with the tangy, velvety sauce, made it a satisfying one-pan meal that felt upscale yet approachable. Often served over egg noodles or rice, it was a go-to wintertime comfort food, offering warmth and indulgence on chilly nights. Its versatility allowed for variations using ground beef or shortcuts like canned soup, making it even more convenient for busy families. However, As food trends shifted toward lighter, fresher pasta dishes, the heavy, sour, cream-based sauce fell out of favor. Many also found it outdated compared to modern beef dishes, with bolder flavors and healthier ingredients. While less common today, beef stroganoff remains a nostalgic comfort meal for those who grew up with it. A creamy baked pasta dish that combined shredded chicken, mushrooms, peas, and a rich sauce. Chicken tetrazzini was a 1970s home cooking favorite. Named after opera singer Luisa Tetrazzini, it became especially popular as a way to use up leftover chicken. With its comforting texture and mild flavors, it was an easy, family-friendly meal that could feed a crowd with minimal effort. The crispy topping, often made from breadcrumbs or crushed potato chips, added a fun contrast to the creamy noodles, making it a beloved dish at potlucks and weeknight dinners. It was practical, filling, and adaptable, with some versions including canned soups for even faster preparation. However, as processed, heavy casseroles fell out of favor, so did chicken tetrazzini. People gravitated toward fresher, lighter pasta dishes with homemade sauces and more vibrant ingredients. Still, for those who grew up with it, chicken tetrazzini remains a nostalgic comfort food. Did your family ever make chicken tetrazzini? Tell us in the comments. A cold, creamy dish made with elbow macaroni, canned tuna, mayonnaise, and diced vegetables like celery and pickles. Tuna macaroni salad was a picnic and potluck staple in the 1970s. As pasta salads exploded in popularity, this tuna-filled version became a go-to dish for quick, affordable meals. Many families added hard-boiled eggs, relish, or even cheese for extra flavor, making it a versatile and filling side dish or light meal. It was easy to prepare, inexpensive, and a great way to use pantry staples. The creamy, tangy taste made it a summer favorite, often served at barbecues or gatherings. However, as food trends shifted toward lighter salads with vinaigrette dressings and fresher seafood dishes, mayo-heavy salads like this began to fall out of favor. Some also found the combination of cold tuna and pasta unappealing compared to fresher, Mediterranean-style pasta salads. While less common today, tuna macaroni salad remains a nostalgic dish for many. Tuna macaroni salad was a creamy potluck staple, whereas Meatloaf Surprise made the classic dish more exciting with hidden fillings. A 1970s twist on classic meatloaf, this dish featured a surprise center, often hard-boiled eggs, cheese, or even mashed potatoes baked inside. Meatloaf was already a staple in many households, but home cooks in the 70s loved adding creative fillings to make it more exciting. The surprise element made it a fun family dinner, giving kids and guests something unexpected with every slice. This dish was also a budget-friendly way to make meatloaf feel more special without requiring extra ingredients beyond what was already in the pantry. The combination of savory ground beef with a gooey, creamy, or protein-packed center gave it a unique appeal. However, as food trends shifted toward more refined meat dishes and lighter fare, stuffed meatloaf was seen as too heavy and gimmicky. While it's not as common today, for those who grew up with it, Meatloaf Surprise remains a nostalgic comfort food that brings back memories of family dinners. A bizarre yet surprisingly common dish, perfection salad mixed lemon or lime jello with shredded carrots, cabbage, and sometimes even olives, creating a wobbly, sweet savory salad. Gelatin-based salads were wildly popular in the 1970s. Often served as a side dish or appetizer at dinner parties and potlucks. It was considered elegant and creative, showcasing the versatility of Jell-O while adding a colorful, eye-catching element to the dinner table. The appeal of this dish came from its firm, molded structure and the unexpected contrast of sweet gelatin with crunchy vegetables. Many variations included vinegar or mayonnaise to add a tangy kick, making it even more unusual by today's standards. However, as fresh, crisp salads became the norm, people lost interest in gelatin-based vegetable dishes. The unusual texture and flavors didn't appeal to younger generations, and the once popular Jell-O salad faded into retro food history. While rarely seen today, it remains a nostalgic curiosity for vintage food lovers. Thinly sliced potatoes layered with diced ham and a creamy, cheesy sauce, then baked until golden and bubbly. This comforting dish was a 1970s staple, especially for using up leftover ham. The creamy texture and rich flavors made it a favorite for family dinners, holiday meals, and potlucks. It was easy to prepare in large batches, making it a practical and filling option for feeding a crowd. The combination of tender potatoes, smoky ham, and gooey melted cheese made it an instant crowd pleaser. Often baked in a casserole dish and served straight from the oven, it was the kind of hearty meal that felt both homemade and indulgent. However, as people started avoiding heavy, cream-based dishes in favor of lighter options, scalloped potatoes with ham fell out of favor. It was also a time-consuming dish compared to quicker side options like mashed or roasted potatoes. While less common today, it remains a nostalgic comfort food for those who grew up with it. While scalloped potatoes with ham were a go-to for hearty comfort, baked spaghetti pie reimagined pasta in a fun, sliceable way. Spaghetti wasn't just for pasta bowls. This 1970s dish transformed it into a firm, sliceable pie held together with eggs, cheese, and sauce. Inspired by Italian flavors, this baked dish was an easy way to repurpose leftover spaghetti and give it a new twist. It combined the familiar comfort of spaghetti with the structure of a casserole, making it a fun and creative way to serve pasta. The firm texture allowed for easy slicing, making it a convenient choice for family dinners and potlucks. It was hearty, cheesy, and packed with flavor, often baked in a pie dish and cut into wedges. However, as tastes shifted toward more traditional spaghetti preparations, baked versions like this began to feel outdated. Many preferred the classic saucy pasta experience over a firmer structured dish. Still, with fresh herbs, high-quality cheese, and homemade sauce, a gourmet version of baked spaghetti pie could bring this retro favorite back to life. Would a gourmet version with fresh herbs and better cheese bring this dish back? Ground beef and rice wrapped in cabbage leaves, then simmered in a tangy tomato sauce. This hearty dish was a staple on 1970s dinner tables. Inspired by Eastern European recipes, stuffed cabbage rolls became popular in the U.S. as a comforting, budget-friendly meal that stretched simple ingredients while still feeling special. The combination of tender cabbage, flavorful filling, and rich sauce made it a satisfying choice for family dinners. Each household had its own twist, with variations using different meats, seasonings, or even alternative sauces. Some recipes included a hint of sweetness, while others leaned into savory, spiced flavors. However, as global cuisine expanded and people sought lighter, fresher meals, the labor-intensive nature of cabbage rolls made them less common. The long cooking time didn't fit into modern busy schedules, and many opted for quicker, more convenient dishes. While less popular today, stuffed cabbage rolls remain a nostalgic comfort food, especially for those with Eastern European roots. A 1970s spin on the classic beef Wellington, this dish featured pork tenderloin wrapped in puff pastry with a mushroom or mustard filling. As French-inspired cooking gained popularity, pork Wellington became a way for home cooks to create an elegant meal without the high cost of beef. The golden, flaky pastry gave it a sophisticated presentation, making it a favorite for dinner parties and special occasions. The contrast of crispy, buttery pastry with juicy pork and savory filling made it a rich and indulgent dish. Some variations used a creamy sauce or additional herbs to enhance the flavor, adding to its appeal. However, as food trends shifted toward lighter meals and simpler preparations, the complexity of pork Wellington made it less practical for everyday cooking. While beef Wellington remained the more iconic dish, this pork version still holds nostalgic value for those who enjoyed its refined yet approachable take on a classic. While pork Wellington offered a refined, approachable take on a classic, Seafood Newberg delivered decadent seafood indulgence for sophisticated palates. A luxurious, creamy seafood dish, Seafood Newberg featured shrimp, lobster, or crab, bathed in a rich, sherry-infused sauce, typically served over toast points, puff pastry, or rice. Originally a fine dining classic from the late 19th century, it gained widespread popularity in the 1970s as home cooks embraced seafood-based casseroles and elegant restaurant-inspired dishes. The velvety sauce, made with butter, cream, egg yolks, and sherry, gave it a decadent texture and deep, indulgent flavor. Seafood Newberg was often reserved for special occasions, adding a touch of sophistication to dinner parties and holiday gatherings. The combination of tender seafood and luxurious sauce made it feel upscale, even when prepared at home. However, as food trends shifted toward lighter, fresher seafood dishes, the heavy cream and sherry-based sauce began to feel overly rich for modern palates. While no longer a dinner party staple, Seafood Newberg still holds nostalgic charm for those who appreciate its old-fashioned elegance and indulgence. A breaded and fried chicken dish topped with almonds and served in a light, savory sauce. Almond chicken was a Chinese-American favorite in the 1970s. As Chinese-American cuisine became more mainstream, this dish provided an easy way to bring restaurant-style flavors into home kitchens. It was a crowd pleaser, offering crispy chicken, a mild yet flavorful sauce, and the satisfying crunch of toasted almonds. Served with rice and a splash of soy sauce, it became a go-to meal for families looking for something slightly exotic but still familiar. Its balance of textures and flavors made it a fun alternative to standard fried chicken. However, as more authentic Chinese cuisine became available in the US, this Americanized version lost its appeal. Additionally, as health-conscious eating trends grew, many moved away from fried foods in favor of lighter stir-fries and steamed dishes. While less common today, almond chicken still holds nostalgic value for those who grew up enjoying it. A childhood favorite, this canned pasta dish featured spaghetti-like rings in a tomato sauce with sliced hot dog pieces, making it a quick and easy dinner for busy parents. Originally introduced in the 1960s, SpaghettiOs gained massive popularity in the 1970s, especially with the addition of sliced franks, turning it into a complete meal. Its affordability, convenience, and kid-friendly appeal made it a staple in many households. The bright orange sauce, soft pasta, and mild, slightly sweet flavor were perfect for picky eaters, and its catchy advertising further cemented its place in American kitchens. It was a no-fuss meal that required no preparation beyond opening a can and heating it up. However, as parents became more conscious of processed foods and sought healthier meal options, SpaghettiOs became less of a go-to for home dinners. While still available today, they are more often seen as a nostalgic snack rather than a mealtime favorite. I hope you enjoyed this journey through forgotten 1970s dinners. Which ones do you remember? Let us know in the comments. Subscribe for more nostalgia-filled stories. Until next time.